Yeah, I'm about to go live on it's pre-recorded, but I'm about to go on a podcast with British Theatre Guide. I had to write it down on the wall to remind me. Yeah. So, hopefully it goes well. Promoting them up for the Foxes. Beats and Element, Hip-Hop Theatre, Beatbox Theatre. Let's go! You must report. Man looks bummy. I look bummy, boy. Hope everyone's doing fine. Doing their thing, staying connected with their communities, staying positive with themselves, working hard, also having a good time. Crazy times, so. Weird. I'm so behind on emails. Feel bad because I know like the best people and the cool people help that. I feel blessed, but I just don't reply to the emails. Or it's kind of too busy. I've got a lot of things on my mind. Just on Zoom, so I need to look. Man, it's a fly, I look bummy. Okay, is this gonna work?
Hello,
How's it?
Conrad.
Yeah, you cool, man?
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, all right, man. I'm doing all right. I feel like have I met you before?
I think so, no.
I don't know. You see someone, you're like, I feel like I recognise you. It's weird.
No, I interviewed, when you're doing Crompton Nights, I interviewed the two directors of that, but I didn't get to speak to you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, maybe I watched some online. I said, or you got one of those faces that just looks familiar. I was like, I think
Maybe, yeah. Well, I don't get outside of Greater Manchester very much, so if you've not been to Manchester recently, you probably won't have seen me unless you've seen me online. But...
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. Yeah, thanks for doing this.
No, good, man.
I did actually watch the video last night.
Oh, cool.
It's good fun.
Oh, wicked.
But this is for the British Theatre Guide podcast. I don't know how much Duncan's told you, so just so you know, I've not done it on Zoom before. I usually use Skype, so this is a bit of an experiment. I'm going to be recording it in two different ways just to make sure.
Cool.
But hopefully it'll work out okay. So I'll start.
Okay.
Different recorders. Yeah, I'll probably put this out later this week, maybe weekend.
Great, it's exciting.
So it's up till middle of July anyway, isn't it? So it should give people plenty of time. Yeah, I'll put an introduction on and I'll put something on the end about how to find it and everything. I'll start by just sort of cutting into you talking, and then we'll just go into a conversation, if that's okay.
Sick, man. And do you put the visual on as well, or is it just audio?
It's just audio.
Cool.
It's just an audio podcast. It's nice to look into the eyes of the people you're talking to.
Oh yeah, no, for real.
Okay. Do you want us to just start by talking about what's No Milk for Foxes is about?
Yes, for real. No Milk for the Foxes. It's about two working class guys on 0 hours contracts, working in a factory in Croydon. it's essentially kind of about working the living conditions of working class people, and about how kind of capitalism and the current kind of climate forces people to kind of work against each other, as opposed to working together, and what the current kind of class system does to people's lives, and what's happening in society. But basically, I mean, the main kind of drama in the show is these two guys in one setting the whole time in the factory.
Yeah. I was interested to see, you said you were putting this online because there's so much stuff gone online in the past few months, but you particularly wanted to show some diversity, and you're not talking about Black Lives Matter or Me Too or anything like that. This is about class, isn't it? Which is interesting.
Well, yeah, I mean, like when it comes to Me Too and Black Lives Matter, the fact is the issue is class there as well.
Yeah,
And if you only if you only talk about Black Lives Matter or gender, you're missing the key component. Is you don't get those issues if we sort out the class issue, if we sort out the problems with capitalism. If you're just doing that, then nothing will change, because sometimes what you don't want is, regardless of what the movement is to say I'm unhappy. Imagine if I was the boss. Imagine if I was there. What? So we get another prat doing exactly the same thing. Because that's what a lot of this is. It doesn't matter. I don't care. Okay, I'm half Indian. So if I get another Indian saying, "Well, we need an Indian. We need an Indian Boris Johnson." I don't want an Indian Boris Johnson. We need an Indian CEO of big corporations. I don't want that. Why would I want that? What we want is to change the nature of the beast, to change the how society works, and that's why I'm quite the class issue is much more important. It's a lot more radical. People are scared when you talk about class, much more scared, because there's some thought that needs to go around it. There's some reading that maybe, or some thinking that might have to go around it, and people are scared of class, they're scared of socialism. But even socialism aside, class can go off in many different ideologies. It's a lot easier to feel like to be led by other people's movements and believe that you're actually making a change, when there's never been a class movement. There's never been a real socialist movement in this country apart from post-war and moments. So why hasn't there been a change? We've had a lot of other these wars before. How can we call now our prominent feminists derogatory words? We call them terse and all sorts. People that have made massive changes. This will eat itself. Capitalism will eat its own. It will keep eating its own if we only, of course, people I talk about wanting being represented as an Anglo-Indian rare, but the truth is that means very little compared to changing the issues of class. And to me, you can do that with art, with representation. You can do that in shows, and hopefully it'll make, we want to make people laugh, but really we want to make them think as well, and think, hold on, like, if these guys grew up in a council estate and you know about all this stuff, maybe working class people aren't prats. We're not. I mean, I never met any working class people who aren't highly politicized, who don't know all this stuff. But people don't listen. But who do they give the mics? They give the mics, one, to just straight up morons that all like spout any old rubbish, and then they give it to everyone else who speaks their agenda, anyone that speaks their stuff. So, I mean, when you've got a movement, a supposed radical movement that's being co-opted by Nike, McDonald's, Big Pharma, you think you're a rebel. If every newspaper is going along with a movement, you think you're a rebel. Are you joking? It blows my mind. So to me, it's like the class is always the issue. Like, you change the machine. It's like, yeah. I mean, to me, it's obvious, but unfortunately, it's not obvious. This kind of battle, this has to be refought over and over again. I feel like if you think about like the 70s and the early 80s, and it feels like working class people were very mobilized. You can find stuff about the unions teaching people, but the unions have been smashed. Where do people get this sort of education from? Where do they get it from? And then when you get people like centrists or in the media, people that Owen Jones, people like that, who are great, very intelligent guy, but they play the fence. I don't know whether it's for their own personal gain. I don't know what it is. And I can understand everyone needs to eat and everyone needs to live. But you're like, where are the real kind of motivating people? I feel like Jeremy Corbyn was, Unfortunately, a lot of people had a lot of problems with him, which, you know, still perplex. I don't know what the problem was personally, but who else is there? I mean, I mean, obviously, I'm talking about theatre now, but this is politics. But the truth is, this political theatre, like, who are inspirations? So I just got to try and do it through the shows. I'm trying to start the revolution through theatre, and hopefully people start listening. And yeah, maybe I'll be that annoying guy at the back of the room, and it seems like at the current time I feel like, you know, someone with an SWP magazine outside a train station. Do you know what I mean? Annoying.
Yeah.
But the fact is, if you even now, I've been to some SWP thing. Those people, they're really intelligent. A lot of them don't even vote for just Socialist Party. They vote for Labour, for all sorts of, and they're really smart guys. But they're like, the underground always changes the shift in the overground. So I don't mind if it's like, you know, why aren't you jumping on the zeitgeist? Why aren't you jumping on this very commercial bandwagon? I don't need to do that. Do you know what I mean? I don't need to do that. I know what I'm doing and why. I don't know if I answered the question, no? I'm just frozen up a little bit. Hold on. Let me see this. Let me put my... Sorry about that.
It's all right.
So, yeah.
I'm still recording.
No,
Yeah,
I just
you were jumping on the zeitgeist and then you just froze.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not. Yeah, just as I said, I'm not about jumping on any the local zeitgeist or the new kind of like most popular thing, just to look popular. I know, you know, I know what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. A lot of these other people, they don't even know why they're doing something. You know, it's kind of very frustrating. Supposed rebels. I mean, these are totally rebels without cause, and they, you know, if Piers Morgan is co-signing you, you really believe you are a rebel? You really believe that? You're not going to think, hold on, you're not going to question whose bidding you're doing. It's annoying. It's but, you know, you got to keep fighting that good fight and knowing, you know, what and why you're doing it.
And you've got to use the tools that you've got, and you're using theatre.
Yeah.
And this was created 5 years ago when David Cameron was Prime Minister, and it was on the eve of his election, I believe, until you actually put this together. So that was a slightly different political moment to what we're in now, wasn't it?
Yeah. But similar. I mean, it was dire, and it was kind of like a new dawn was coming, a worse one, because we're going to go 100% full Tory. But we made the show in knowing that like possibly that was going to be the case. But yeah, it was a crazy time performing the show, and the actual ITN had already done their prediction, and then you could see people in the audience looking at their phones, and it was like, oh fuck, like they've done it, and they like. But to me, because it wasn't about this, it wasn't actually it's not about that. It's about that time. It's about all times. But so it's still relevant now.
Yeah.
And hey, even if it wasn't, even if the particulars wasn't relevant, and then we spoke loads about David Cameron, about that government, that would still be also alright. So.
Yeah. Yeah, because you don't mention the specifics of the government in power at the time. It's all about the lives of the people who are suffering under that regime, in a sense, isn't it? And they're very different. The two characters that the two of you play, Marx and Sparks, they've got very different opinions. One's very diligent with his work, and the other's a bit slapdash. One's reads newspapers, the other gets his news from YouTube. So it sets up some interesting discussions there, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, and the thing is, there's a lot of heart in both of the characters. I think some people felt like one was good and one was bad, and I guess one thing was trying to show is there's no good and bad. There's reasons why, like, you know, my character mentions, you know, going to school and there being, you know, like how drama affected his life, and how, you know, you can get from his background reason that's why that he is that way. I think that sometimes working class characters, they are, you know, we're either the angel or the demon, and there's no in between. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there's no in between, and that doesn't make any sense. You know, we're not allowed to have a nuanced story, and because middle class people make the theatre or they program it, they kind of want to push you on making everything so extreme, either one way or the other. And okay, we pick these two different kind of characters together, but they're both not either good or bad. It's just, you know, they're just people, and there's no nuance in a lot of writing, and no nuance in a lot of way that working class people are showed. And actually, sometimes, you know, some of your best mates who are working class can have a heart of gold, but also be fucking awful on the surface as well. Do you know what I mean? Proper brash, reading the Sun, looking at the tits in the paper. And you know what? Even some people at the time were like really disgusted that we had the Sun in there and that the guy was reading it. It's like, but what the hell do you expect? I know loads of people who buy the Sun and wanting to look at the tits. They're not middle class educated people. They're they can be very smart in different ways. They'll go to a shop for you. They'll like look after your kid. All sorts of stuff that you would never do. Never. Right?
Yeah.
But haven't got, like, some people will got different kind of experiences. A lot of so-called liberal people are the most, I mean, it's not something, I mean, the most illiberal people you're ever going to meet, because they expect you to live in a particular box. And the people they hate the most is if you look a certain way and you're a certain way and you at all do not adhere to their kind of fascist ideals, because you're doing their bidding. You only do our bidding and no one else's. Otherwise, you're a non-person. You are a non-person. It's savage, absolutely savage out there. You know, the only, you know, I don't want to get into like racism too much, but you know, I know, you know, if you're non-white, you can only have. Look, I vote for Labour. I go to my local party meetings where we talk about lampposts for hours. You know, the real work being done is like by a lot of old people, right? And it's about very minutiae things to help our community. But you can't have any slightly nuanced views about things. You can't have, you know, they'll stamp on you, like, not those people in my local party are really nice, you know, but I'll say the zeitgeist, the commentariat, you've got to like do their extreme bidding. And it's just to give them power, because you can't take away their power. They can take away yours and cancel you at any moment.
Yeah, as we see happens in the play. But
Yeah.
There's an interesting story in there that I think chimes with things that are happening now. You're talking about Woolworths, and one of the characters has this story about, not your character, the other character, about how one of his relatives says, "What are the chavs going to shop now that Woolworths has closed?"
Yeah.
And it was I think it was only last week, there was some real snobbery about people looking down on the queues outside Primark because Primark had reopened.
Yeah.
And it's exactly the same, saying, why would you queue for Primark?
Yeah.
Some people have to, don't they?
Yeah, like, well, we're going to get our pants and socks, mate. Do you know what I mean? And the rest of our clothes, like...
Yeah.
It's, yeah, and some of those people that were sneering, you know, will pretend to be looking out for you next week. You know, you can, yeah.
But yeah, you covered quite a few different issues in less than an hour, really. And one of the big ones that becomes more important is the issue of the 0-hour contract, which is still something that's not been resolved, but it's something that really affects the lives of people like the ones in the play, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, people like the 0 hours contract has destroyed kind of workers' rights. It's destroyed any sort of solidarity amongst workers, because you don't, you know, one, there's loads of reasons. We've got no security, and so you already feel kind of on edge. So you're not going to create any relationships with other workers, because you're all fighting for the hours. What it does to you mentally is you know, it just destroys you, and then, you know, and you think that everyone else is your enemy. That's your enemy. The idea of it being flexible is ridiculous, because like that's the only choice. There's no choice in it. Like people want jobs. They want to know what they're doing so they can prepare for their future with their jobs. I noticed it's only very middle class people that bang on about the flexibility and how flexible it is. Because my friend Millie, when she was at uni, she did this job. So I don't care about that. What about people that want to have a Christmas party? What about people that want a birthday card from other workers? That will not happen in the current climate. Like when my granddad retired, he got so many cards and stuff from all the co-workers because he worked there for so long. He was a postman, and he still looked. If he looks at his retirement cards, he gets them out, and you can see him like tears in his eyes, crying. That don't happen when it's like no one works together, no one's, and it creates desperate people that are very easy to manipulate at all times. But we're not. When people say it's very, very frustrating. We don't want to take it back to the 70s. We want to take it back. These were better times. People had jobs. People could do courses. Like even like when I left school, I've still got it actually. I want to put it online. I've got a form, New Deal from the Job Centre, where it's like, oh, if you're a musician, you can we support musicians to sign on. You just got to tell us what music. Now you can't do that. They force you into doing some other crap. They're quite rude to you. I signed on for years. I've signed on multiple times, and people are really shocked. What? I'm like, what are you gonna do when you got no money? I know a lot of people that are shocked, both middle class people and people that I'm like, you also should be signing on, because they put a massive stigma behind it. Like, oh no, I can't.
Yeah.
Dude, you're struggling. I can see that you're struggling. You need to do it. I don't know how I got to this. I start, once I get turned up, I just start going. What did you ask me again?
Well, it was relevant because it was all about the 0 hours contract.
Yeah, the 0 hours contract. Yeah, no. We wanted to explore it because there's a lot behind the 0 hours contract. It was like once we attack that, then we can attack that. Look, we can talk about all those other things because they're going to be super, super apparent. People don't realize that their jobs and the way that they attack our jobs attacks the rest of our lives, and we can easily be manipulated about everything else. Once people have got job satisfaction, like the rest of their life becomes a lot easier when we feel secure. Once that's, I talk to my brother, I talk to other people, they're not happy in their jobs. I can see that mentally, that's the only thing they want to talk about. It's ruining the rest of their life because they're frustrated. It's like, I want to get sacked at any moment. They're not trusting everyone else. He doesn't trust anyone else at his workplace. And, maybe that's true. Maybe they are all dickheads, or maybe it's because of the situation. Everyone feels super desperate. We're not prepared. Like, people have got skills that are not being used. We've got talent that's wasted. Like, everything is about what's the most efficient, as opposed to but efficient to who? Efficient for what? People don't question that. When someone else says to them, oh, but this makes me more money at the end of the day, that's not a reason. That's not a reason. You just had loads of people with mental health issues, people dying. Some companies, people like giving birth in the toilets. I don't care about this. You do this because this earns you more money. That's not a reason. But people now parrot. Like, I can't believe in 2020, it gets worse. You can see how worse things get. They parrot right-wing answers. And it's like, what are you saying? Why you're parroting their argument that destroys you? And I'm sure it's always
to get from their newspapers, from the Sun and the Daily Mail, which has just taken over the Sun as the most popular newspaper in Britain. They're both right-wing newspapers, aren't they?
Yeah, and it's very insidious. Like the way they do it is like, if you look at an old tabloid newspaper from 20 years ago, 30 years ago, the language was actually much more complex and difficult than now. It's got easier and simpler to read, over the years. I remember being a kid being quite confused. I went to a boys' school and all the boys bought the Sun. And I remember that the front cover would be like, Babs on holiday. Babs gets her tits out. I remember thinking there's something weird about this. You know what I mean? This is weird. Who is this for? Because they hate us, but yet they manipulate us as well by putting tits in there. You know what I mean? And God forbid, I wasn't allowed. I was telling my girlfriend this. When I was growing up, I couldn't be seen with the Sun. Do you know what I mean? for the sexism alone. Do you know what I mean? That was like, you don't buy that. And I remember, even if I was stood next to one of my mates who had it in my hand, I went to the school that's on my estate, so like it was across. It was actually just I could see it from my window. It was just there right in front of my house. So even after school, I'd be scared walking with my mates because I was thinking I don't want mom to see me with they got the sun in their hand. I don't want them to see that. Please. She's gonna judge me. She's gonna be so like angry. She's gonna kick me out. So when people talk about why do we put characters with the sun, it's like because these are real people, and actually you can still love those people as well. But if everyone's just an enemy, if everyone's just then there's no discussion, there's no conversation. And maybe, if people, if I talk to someone and they think, oh, maybe the sun is bad, maybe, whatever, maybe it is, but they carry on reading it, that's also good enough, because maybe they're going to think about it over time. It takes a long time to change your mind. It's not just do it now or you're cancelled or it's finished. But again, a lot of the ways that people supposedly who support who are left wing or whatever or liberal, a lot of the ways they act very loud, super loud statements, ostentatious, brash, very obvious things they come out with, no thought in it, just really catchy, really sticky now. I mean, these are all the things we say we hate about Trump, but the other guys doing the same thing. A lot of the other are doing exactly the same thing. And you think you're a rebel? And you think these people, this is for you? Like, no, you don't beat it with the same thing. Well, what's the point in winning? I hate that. Like, well, that's what they're doing. That's what we should do. Well, might as well not do it, innit? Might as well just let them keep doing it. And let the perpetual boot on our face can just stay there. We can enjoy that.
Despite all of this political discussion, there is a lot of humour in this.
Oh, yeah.
There's a great little report that the two of you got, which I suppose it helps that you both wrote it as well as performing it. And also the music. It's a hip-hop. It's not really a musical as such, but it has the live looping, which you do, and the some rap numbers as well. So can you just talk about how that's integrated into it?
Yeah, we kind of wanted to... one, we knew we just wanted to rap in there and put some hip hop in there, because we're like, people need to hear some banging tunes, man. But it was, we were like, how can we like do some like monologues and find out what's going on in their minds and do more of an overview, worldview. A good way to do that, explore things that they wouldn't maybe not say out loud, and into their psyche was through the music. And it kind of opens up in that way. It's like more like soliloquy and more monologue in those moments. And it's a great, rap music is a great way to do that. Just to it's just like to commentate and open up the world, and it's left for you listening to kind of judge on what it is actually being said or what, how you feel about it. But yeah, and also we felt kind of, there's not, to me, like rap music and hip hop is also part of my working class culture. Do you know what I mean? Growing on the estate, it was like hip hop, reggae, being blared out. That's part of my background, and a lot of working class plays growing up, like because I would seek out things like that. Always northern, and sorry, but it always great, I always felt like they miss out the South London council estates. They miss out those inner city estates. And unfortunately, I see what's happening is they sometimes pit north, against south. And sometimes it's like all you Londoners. And I think, like someone I've got solidarity here is running down Londoners. And we're in the same situation. Like, all you posh Londoners are rare. It's like, what? Why is he just saying Londoners like plural, like all of us? Like we're in the same boat here. But we don't really get to hear those voices. And people don't think working class, like hip hop, the way that live, it's like it's different. It's like no, it's the same thing. It's all of the same thing. And I actually through like open mics and stuff here, like I knew some like working class artists from up north, and they'd like play songs and do spoken word and stuff. And it was like, I love the stuff. I understood the aesthetic, but it's always kind of like, well, how can we do what we're doing and do the same thing basically? Like it's not all one thing, but it's all solidarity.
Yeah, and you've done some other shows that you've not been in, like as one of the last shows I saw before lockdown was Crumpton Nights, which you worked on.
Yeah.
Now that's very different in that you're teaching actors to do the beatboxing instead of you doing it yourself. So, so what was that like?
Yeah, it was fun, man. Really, really cool. It was like kind of coaching and passing on those skills, but it was from a lexicon and word that they understood. They knew, um, and the genres of music was like what they understood. You know what they knew. But it was fun. Like a lot of them hadn't written before, like music or done that sort of thing before. So when you do something with someone and they realize, wow, like I'm a composer. Wow, I'm a like I can write like hit songs. I can do this. It's great to unlock that tool in people because we're often it's educated out of us. We're not all lyricists or songwriters but I mean we are. We all
Yeah.
everyone can do that. Kids write super complex like compositions until they go to school. They're singing and keep mad key changes, all sorts of all the time, and then that gets educated out of us. And these guys are the song guys, and you guys are go sweep the floor, go sweep the floor. But but yeah, it was great, man. Working with those guys, and what was cool is like they had never done anything like that before. Some of them might have rapped, whatever, but they hadn't done that kind of style before. But they then went on to like make it. Once I'd left I'll never leave the production. But once I wasn't around anymore, they made another song in that style and that aesthetic and that genre and stuff, and made a video for it and stuff. And it was kind of like really cool that like it was something that they'd kind of held on to and carried on creating in that way. It was cool, man. I loved working on that show. Big production, big like revolving stage. You feel part of this massive thing, as well as I love like the small intimate stuff. There's definitely something in there when you see those big theaters and whatever, you think, wow, like we're in here. Do you know what I mean? To take over.
Yeah. I mean, I saw it at the Lowry in Salford, which it was the smaller of their theatres, but it's still a big stage compared to where you performed the Fox's show, which is a tiny little basement.
Mate, yeah, it's small, man. It's small. Although CBT has got a massive reach, but like culturally, I think their work goes far. But yeah, man, like it's been a journey to go from that small space to now passing on those skills in big theatre spaces. I think like in the 5 years, like it's been a massive journey. And me and Paul, like we spoke about all the different things that we wanted to do. We're like, we want to create like shows. We want people to know it is what we're doing. We want to be going into other shows. We want to create education packages. We want to go into schools, universities.